Dear Jewel, I left you with a few things to always hold on to. Loyalty, elusiveness, and brute force. If you remember these lessons, you will survive. If anyone can, it's you. Love you always, Dad.
Xbox One S, starting at $299.
Let's talk about the game on everyone's lips, on everyone's minds, on everyone's PlayStation 4, looking at PSN, and hopefully on everyone's PC come Friday, the No Man's Sky.
Yeah, it's mine, actually.
It's your Sky?
It's mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got up there first?
That was me.
You were there pre-patch.
That was me.
Enjoying the space. We'll talk about the pre-patch stuff later. But first of all, I just wanted to... there's a bunch of ways we can talk about this game.
Yes.
First, I just want to kind of ask, are you enjoying it? Like,
Yes.
that's, I think, the most important thing. So, Peter, are you enjoying No Man's Sky?
I am enjoying No Man's Sky. I've played about 20 hours now, combined, pre-patch and post-patch. It is a very interesting game that is very big, and so big that it's really hard to even understand it. So I love the way it plays with scale. I love the way it encourages you to seek out new discoveries, and it tempts you to gain new wealth so you can like get all the the hot new rides and the hot new equipment. Yeah, I mean, I'm very much enraptured in the experience right now, and I am not headed towards the center of the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. Either am I, oddly enough.
But for different reasons.
Probably. So that's the thing. One of the things that has been like the sort of the curse and the blessing of this game is that how vague they've been about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in one way it's set expectations in a weird way for some people where they think that maybe this is a different type of game to what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But in another way it's like so much about this game. Like when you start the game off, I was like, my ship's broken. I'm supposed to find Hydra blah blah and Kuala blah blah, and I'm like, I have no idea what any of this stuff is.
Yeah.
And like that whole experience has been fascinating in the same way that like playing Minecraft for the first time or playing Terraria for the first time. You've played for like 20 hours now. Does that continue, that sort of sense of discovery?
Sense of discovery, yes, but you definitely come to grips with what you should be doing or what you could be doing. At this stage, I am not... Well, there aren't that many surprises in terms of the bigger picture. Maybe I'll find an element I hadn't seen before, right? Or an item I hadn't seen. But the bigger picture stuff, like what it means to travel from one solar system to another, what it means to discover a planet, when you find an outpost on that planet or an anomaly in space, like what that means and what you can gain from it. I've kind of seen all of that, but all that stuff remains interesting because each one is like an egg, and inside the shell are like a bunch of different elements that are different than they were the last egg you cracked.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was watching Rob and Mary do their live stream last night, and they were bouncing from planet to planet, not finding any life whatsoever, while at the same time I was playing in a solar system where like there was 4 planets and they all had teeming with life. Like it was too much. I was like making so much money.
Yeah.
Mike, you've played a bit since it's launched. How are you finding No Man's Sky so far?
Yeah, I only played about 3 hours, I think.
Okay.
And I knew it was going to be a survival game. I really like survival games, but I think with this, I was going into it expecting more just like exploration. And so right now I've just been figuring out, like the inventory and the actual survival loop of collecting like isotopes for your weapon or for your certain like boosters, collecting like actually crafting and whatnot. But so far it's intriguing. I mean, my favorite part is like actually coming up off a planet with no loading screen, just like pointing up at the sky and just boosting as fast as you can, going to another planet, doing the hype, like the speed boost, the pulse boost, I think it's called, and then going down into another planet and landing, and it's all seamless. That's like incredible. That part is really gratifying for me. The survival, I feel maybe, like I said, the farther I get in, maybe I'll actually like start to enjoy the survival more and kind of accept that alongside the exploration. I've been hearing that the farther in you get, the more you'll get acclimated to the survival elements. You'll get better equipment, I think. I'm assuming.
You start to figure out the stuff you kind of need to be collecting all the time.
Yeah, and you come to terms with like the process, like the order of operations, right? Like before you sell anything, before you go hunting for anything, make sure all your equipment is filled with energy, right? That includes your ship, like that includes the hazard protection suit, like everything. Like take care of that first, and you're pretty much good to go and have fun. But yeah, the early goings, you can definitely find yourself in a pinch where you're like, crap, why did I sell that material? I need it for XYZ.
Or I kept landing, and then because like your launch thrusters require a certain element to launch, so you can't take off the planet without it. And at the start, I was like terrified to land my ship because if I didn't land it near, it was a plutonium or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I couldn't take off again. Now I have like a cargo full of the shit just to
Right.
make sure, because it was like so scary to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that kind of. I guess you kind of you start to get a sixth sense for the stuff the plates you need to kind of keep spinning. I
Yeah,
guess.
like unless I'm fighting sentinels, which get at this point where I'm finding really rare materials, sentinels are guarding them.
right.
It feels more like a survival game now because I'm incurring damage that's really tangible and hard to fix. But I guess I'm at odds with the idea that this is mostly a survival game because I've been on the worst planets, just really bad ones, and it doesn't feel that threatening. Like, yes, the winds are blowing, and yes, there's a lot of radiation, but like my suit can handle it.
You can always just get in your ship and just fly up.
You can always
And
just
then
do
you're-
that. I mean, that's one of the crazy things is like an outpost on the other side of the planet, that takes longer to get to than another planet.
Right.
If you think about it that way.
Totally.
Like, it's crazy the way scale works. So yes, space is sort of like a sanctuary in a way where you can get out and take care of yourself. But you do start getting attacked more. Sentinels start chasing you into space.
Right.
And those pursuits are the ones I'm finding now
Oh,
where
wow,
I really
okay.
feel like challenged.
Sentinels chase you into space.
So if you engage this one instance that I can refer to, I don't know how it applies to everyone else's experience, but I was fighting sentinels on the ground. It was like 2 drones and like a quadruped sentinel. I took off in my ship, but they were still looking for me. Whether or not they were looking for me was the reason this happened. Sentinel ships then started warping in to attack me, and I killed the ones there. And they're like, "Well, there's more ships coming." So I had to find a different planet. They didn't pursue me down to there. There wasn't. So I don't think it's this pursuit that lasts from ground to space. But I think that was a particularly volatile solar system.
So I guess I feel like the amount of conversations around hype and expectation and stuff around this game in particular have been crazy over the past couple of months. But now they're on the other side of the launch. This is a game that was like Sony were pushing it very, very hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hello Games very small team, but they were sitting on the main stage of since the Game Awards, then it was E3, and then it was the next E3. There was a lot of hype and expectation around this game. Has it met your expectations of what you thought this game was?
It has completely. And my expectations were that this would be a world that is bigger than I can really get a grip on. That I can seamlessly transition from planet to outer space to a new solar system. That I will be making discoveries, and that there is a tangible hope that one day what I do will be noticed by somebody else, or I may encounter something that is a product of someone else's efforts. But again, not that there's a guarantee, just that there's a hope that will happen. And all of those things have been fulfilled. And for me, the thing that's even more gratifying is to discover this sort of like mysterious storyline that's kind of happening, that it's not told to you really. You see it through the eyes of your character as they ponder what's happening around them. Because there's no common language,
Right.
Everything, you kind of just have to suppose everything based on what you see. That has been the nice surprise on top of the expectations that were fulfilled for me.
Right.
So I feel totally gratified by this game.
The story stuff, I'm surprised how much I really like it. I can't really, in video games at least, I can't really think of another game that's done it this way, where it's so vague and so alien. Like everything about this feels. It's almost like I was trying to sort of explain it this morning to my wife. It's almost like you're reading an encyclopedia about a sci-fi world, like where it's the information that they're telling you is you'd only know one piece of it, and it's part of a much grander thing, and you can never. It's like the opposite of most video games, where they're like, "This is the world you live in.
Yeah.
These are the rules." This one, it seems like you could probably play the entire game and still have no idea what the goddamn hell's going on.
It's so hard to come to grips with it, and like you're by yourself for the most part, and like you'll see trader ships in space stations, but you don't really see the traders unless you talk to them. But even then, they're not present. But then you find someone on a planet, and you're like, oh, thank God, like another life form, another like human being who's trying to survive in this world. Not a human being, another life form that's trying to survive. And you get there, and you have this moment of hope until you go talk to them, and you're like, they don't know I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like we can't communicate. Like I feel more lonely than ever because I can't relate to this one thing that I found in so much time. Like it's crazy how vague it is. But one thing I've kind of noticed, I'm following the Atlas path,
right. Me too. I think.
and there's a lot of sort of like religious allegory in there where
Yeah.
it seems to be asking the big questions that a lot of us maybe ask when we think about the meaning of religion, whether we're a part of it or not. And I've been on both sides of that conversation, having been growing up a Catholic, and a lot of the questions I had when I was in church that led to me being a sort of an atheist as an adult, I'm seeing those same questions being asked of the world around me in this game. Not with any one perspective behind it, but just the questions are being asked.
That's fascinating stuff. Yeah, I think it's matched my expectations, but I also feel like my expectations were like I've had a lot of access to this game over the past couple of years, and I feel like from an early I kind of knew I had a decent idea of what it was. That it wasn't. I think there are some people who think this is some sort of like massive, combat focused space opera, and it certainly isn't at all.
I never got that.
I think my initial impression when they first like showed it at the Sony stage was it's like Elder Scrolls in space,
right?
Which is what like it's very different because like Skyrim,
it's nowhere near as dense as that.
No,
like in terms of like quests,
right?
Like there's one quest, right? There's just like loads of different. Well,
like as of now, yeah, like Skyrim's this finite thing, so I took my time scouring every inch. Whereas now, it was so overwhelming at first, which you can imagine. There's like 18 and a half quintillion planets, I think, when the math works out. But like the fact that it might as well be infinite for us. We're never going to see everything.
Totally.
So that was overwhelming at first. And I was kind of like, what's the point of this? I'm never going to find everything. But then that became like the driving force. Be like, this is curiosity incarnate. Like I'm just going to keep finding new things no matter how long I play this game. If I play this game 25 years from now, I'm going to see new things technically.
Right, yeah.
But I still am at that point where I'm wondering, the survival stuff is actually like helping because I think my initial concern before the game released was like how much substance is there on a planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy basis. But it's leading me to believe that getting there will have this nice like satisfying survival loop, crafting loop, and also just the traveling itself is so satisfying. So I'm looking forward to another 30 hours or so.
I think it is like and I haven't played nearly as much as you, Peter, but from what I've had, I think it has like just enough substance. Like
I'd say that's the case.
There's a lot of repetition in like assets,
busy
and
work,
buildings. It's and it's. I was playing it last night, thinking like I don't know why I'm not bored of this because like a lot of it is quite like the same thing over and over again, and you're just like saving up money to get the new thing, and then, but like I wasn't bored. The planets were like I was just like God, this is beautiful, or like I keep getting distracted, and I'm getting distracted by. They're not missions, but just like I guess activities that on the face of it aren't like that amazing. Like, okay, for instance, for the past 3 hours, I've been trying to catalog every animal on this one fucking planet,
which I can't understand why you would want to do that.
Because like
but
the payoff is like 300,000, right?
Yeah,
but
like I can make that much money just mining.
And when I started it, I didn't realize that, and I've actually accumulated about that much just by popping down to the planet over and back. But I have one animal left, and I've spent the past hour looking for this bastarding thing.
I'm sure he's a real ugly son of a
You
bitch.
can't see them from the sky, can you?
No,
it doesn't load them.
I've literally like gone up, flown to the other side of the planet, gone down, and like because they're day-night cycles, so there's some animals that only appear on one side of the planet. There's different biomes on the planet, so like there's one place where there's loads of these.
Different planets have different rotations, right? So the night cycle is going to be long for some.
So like I'm going all over the place, and I've literally like gone up and landed about 15 times looking for this one thing, and it's like I'm just scanning. It's like nope, I know, and now I know all the other animals by heart, their names. So that's going to be fun to like go to a new planet and be like, oh, who are all these strange animals I don't know? Because I feel like I'm familiar with all these other ones now. But like that sounds so boring. That sounds like the most boring thing in the world. I'm just like playing one of those stupid Safari games that come out on like the Wii and nobody buys. But it's like I've been doing it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.